I'm signing 3 executive actions today designed to restore safety in America. These executive actions continue to deliver on my campaign promises. First, I'm directing Department of Justice and Homeland Security to undertake all necessary and lawful action to break the back of the criminal cartels that have spread across our nation and are destroying the blood of our youth and other people, many other people. Secondly, I'm directing Department of Justice to form a task force on reducing violent crime in America. And thirdly, I'm directing the Department of Justice to implement a plan to stop crime and crimes of violence against law enforcement officers.
Donald Trump signs executive order giving police more powers. The president has signed 3 orders to tackle public safety moments after he swore in Jeff Sessions as Attorney General. Donald Trump has signed 3 executive orders to deal with public safety, including handing more authority to the police. At the formal ceremony to appoint Jeff Sessions as Attorney General, the president outlined the new mandate that Mr. Sessions would have, including tackling crime, drug cartels and terrorism. He insisted that the U.S. faced the threat of rising crime and that things will get better very soon. I am directing the Department of Justice to reduce crimes and crimes of violence against law enforcement officers, he said. It's a shame what has been happening to our truly great, law enforcement officers. That is going to stop today. One of the executive orders seeks to define new federal crimes and increase penalties for existing federal crimes in order to prevent violence against state and federal police. In 2016, a total of 135 police officers were killed in the U.S., a 5-year high, according to a report from the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund. Around half of them, -64 officers, were fatally shot while on the job, including 21 who were killed in an ambush-style attack. The number also includes traffic accidents and job-related health issues, for example, heart attacks while working. No mention was made by Mr. Trump of the hundreds of people who die at the hands of law enforcement every year. There were 968 deaths last year, according to the Washington Post, and more than 130 people so far in 2017, according to a database called killedbypolice.net. The executive orders were signed during Black History Month. His speech comes just 1 month after the former administration's DOI concluded that, in Chicago, residents had suffered a pattern of excessive force by police, experienced particularly within communities of color. Chicago was just one city being investigated under former President Barack Obama's government as shocking videos emerged that showed people such as Alton Sterling, Sandra Bland and Walter Scott being violently arrested or killed at the hands of police officers. Civil rights campaigners say the new mandate under Jeff Sessions is unlikely to include continuing the former department's investigation on these deaths or follow through on policing reform. The rate of police officers being indicted or convicted is extremely low. At the swearing-in ceremony of Mr. Sessions on Thursday, Mr. Trump added that the 3 new executive orders, including ordering the Department of Homeland Security to break the back of criminal cartels and asking the Department of Justice to implement a task force to reduce violent crime, were giving a clear sign to criminals. "Your day is over," he declared. "A new era of justice begins, and it begins right now." Mr. Sessions, a longtime senator from Alabama who was once deemed too racist to serve as a federal judge, told reporters that the U.S. has a crime problem. "I wish the rise that we're seeing in crime in America today were some sort of aberration or a blip," he said. "My best judgment, having been involved in criminal law enforcement for many years, is that this is a dangerous, permanent trend that puts the health and safety of America at risk," he added. Mr. Trump's and Mr. Sessions's claims of permanent, rising crime have consistently been debunked. Despite a slight rise in crime over the past 2 years, it has gone down significantly over several decades and is much lower than in the 1980s and 1990s. Mr. Sessions added that he would fight terrorism and implement a lawful system of immigration. "We need to end this lawlessness that threatens the public safety and pulls down the wages of working Americans," he said. Mr. Sessions was widely reported to be one of the key architects of the Muslim ban, an executive order signed on the 27th of January which banned all travelers from 7 Muslim-majority countries in the name of fighting terrorism, despite these countries having produced no terrorist who killed a single American on U.S. soil as part of a terrorist attack since 2001. The order was signed on International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Mr. Trump was also criticized for beginning his pitch to black voters just a few weeks before the presidential election in November. He told black churchgoers in Ohio that communities of color have crime-ridden inner cities, no jobs, and their schools are no good. "What the hell do you have to lose?" he asked them. The next 4 to 8 years will reveal the answer.
State senator in Texas that was talking about introducing legislation to require conviction before we could receive that forfeiture money.
Can you believe that?
And I told him that the cartel would build a monument to him in Mexico if he could get that legislation.
Who is the state senator? Do you want to give his name? We'll destroy his career.
Mr. President.
State senator in Texas that was talking about introducing legislation to require conviction before we could receive that forfeiture money.
Can you believe that?
And I told him that the cartel would build a monument to him in Mexico if he could get that legislation.
Who is the state senator? Do you want to give his name? We'll destroy his career.
Mr. President.
Trump threatens to destroy Senator for bill making it harder for cops to steal from you. Over the past couple of years, great progress has been made in reforming the insidious practice of civil asset forfeiture, CAF, better known as policing for profit. CAF is one of the biggest threats to property rights employed by government, and Trump apparently wants to keep it. Using CAF, local police departments and federal governments seize cash and assets from innocent people who are never charged with a crime, on the mere suspicion, often fabricated, that the cash or assets were involved in criminal activity. Even when a person is cleared of wrongdoing, in most states that person must incur legal fees and court costs to get their property back, creating a severe disincentive to even try. Originally set up in the 1980s to drain resources from criminal organization, CAF is now used by police to rake in millions from innocent people, mostly under the guise of war on drugs, so they can buy militarized police gear and further train themselves in the art of oppression. As the Institute for Justice points out, several states have made significant improvements, effectively abolishing CAF by requiring a criminal conviction for government to keep cash and assets. These laudable reforms have, of course, been heavily criticized by law enforcement, who only sees a threat to their profits. But now, it appears civil asset forfeiture reform has encountered a major obstacle in the form of President Trump. On Tuesday, Trump met with sheriffs from around the country to hear their concerns, as the president has vowed to pursue a law and order agenda. There, Texas Sheriff Harold Evenson complained about efforts in his state to end policing for profit. Read more. Cop caught training his canine to be a vicious attack dog keeps his job. There's a state senator in Texas that was talking about legislation to require conviction before we could receive that forfeiture money, said Evenson. Can you believe that? Trump said in response. Who is the state senator? Do you want to give his name? We'll destroy his career. This shocking statement was met with laughter from the crowd of cops, but Trump's face remained dead serious. Evenson even seemed taken aback. and did not offer the name of the state senator who dares to suggest requiring a criminal conviction before seizing someone's property. The apparent willingness of Trump to destroy the career of lawmakers who believe private property and civil liberties should be protected is just one more indication of Trump's rather frightening authoritarian tendencies. When it means seizing cash and property and perpetuating the war on drugs, the mantra of less government is forgotten. Evenson defended the president, suggesting that he didn't really mean what he said. He was just being emphatic that he did not agree with that senator's position, Evenson said, adding of the senator in question, "I'm not into assassinating his character. But if there's anything we have learned about Trump, it's that he is unpredictable and not afraid to stoop to shocking levels of deception and aggression." According to Dallas News, 2 Texas senators have offered legislation this year to require conviction before someone's assets could be seized. Senator Connie Burton, a Republican who often pushes civil liberties legislation to protect personal information and property, was a fierce critic of Trump during the campaign. She and Senator Juan Chuy Hinojosa, a McAllen Democrat, have formed an unlikely team pushing this asset forfeiture legislation. Image http://pixel.watch/QUT7 Other Republicans have supported the measure, as their constituents have become aware of the threat to property rights and civil liberties CAF poses. Read more. Cop forgets about the First Amendment and YouTube claims it's against the law to film in the target of the sheriffs and Trump's ire is still unknown, but Senator Burton is not being intimidated and has penned a response, which she posted on Twitter. "I have never met with Sheriff Evenson, nor even heard of him before yesterday. However, I take exception to his comments on asset forfeiture reform. While I certainly want law enforcement to have the tools necessary to combat large criminal enterprises, we must be vigilant to safeguard the rights of everyday citizens from potential abuse. Do not be mistaken or misled, this is not strictly a law enforcement issue. This is a property rights issue. Property rights are one of the foundational rights in any free society, and the taking of property by government is no small matter. Requiring the government to secure a criminal conviction before permanently taking property from citizens is simply common sense. We would not stand for anything less when it comes to our personal liberty or freedom. Why should we allow our property to be taken so easily? We should not diminish the constitutional protections guaranteed for all in the Fourth and Fifth Amendments to more easily punish criminals. On the contrary, we should defend these protections more fiercely than ever so they are strong for future generations. I will not be discouraged nor deterred. The moment for reform of our system of asset forfeiture has arrived. Please join me in this effort. Read more at http://thefreethought.com/Trump-threatens-destroy-senator-caf/#X4IXWAVE Glaze 9.99